All right, we're going to try this out. This is Tim, and Willie is driving. We just left the theater.
Yes.
What was this movie called? A Violent Nature?
In a Violent Nature.
In a Violent Nature. Okay,
Yes,
the new...
In a Violent Nature.
Yes, the new... You know what? I was going to call it like the new artsy slasher movie, and I guess it is at times, but I wouldn't call it that. You know what I was surprised by?
I think you're going to go the same direction with this. I think I went the wrong direction out of this parking lot. I think you're about to go the same direction where I felt with it that I was... But go ahead. I want to hear.
This felt like an updated version of Leslie Vernon.
It absolutely
Behind the Mask,
did.
yes.
That specific thought did not pop in my head, but I will say this, and I think we're on the same kind of wavelength here with this. I was surprised, genuinely. I went in expecting, because I knew it was going to be more of an artistic, like kind of an experimental almost slasher movie, elevated horror, I guess they sometimes like to throw out there. But I was shocked at how much fun it has poking and prodding at the contrivances of the slasher genre.
Yes.
Like the characters, if you can really call them that, are and that's not even a knock, because that's by design.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's pretty knowing in what it's doing.
Yeah. But I mean, like, I don't... The performances are very stilted and very, like... The dialogue is super heavy-handed and ridiculous, but it feels so, like... It makes you realize how ridiculous the slasher in those movies would feel as they're eavesdropping on these dorks. Like, there's some bits in this that I like, if we had a bigger crowd, I would have laughed harder. I laughed really hard at one point.
It was a weird, honestly, it was kind of a weird experience, because we had a decent crowd there, honestly.
For a small movie.
For a small movie on a Saturday night at 10. This is midnight, by the way. We're driving back.
At midnight, yeah.
This is not our pristine audio quality. We're recording this on my phone. But we had a decent crowd there, but some of the violence in this movie, we might spoil a little bit here. Some of it's just really funny.
It's hilarious.
Because it's so absurd.
It's hilarious.
And over the top. Some of it is uncomfortable, and I felt like some unease. We had a walkout. We had a couple
walkouts.
Walkouts. Yeah, towards the end of the movie. They should have just stuck around. It got that was the end of it.
Yeah,
as far as that. So, did you like this movie?
I did.
I did too.
I did. And you know what's insane to me is, like, well, I was intrigued and excited. We talked about this ahead of time. Like, I was intrigued and excited about the prospect of this movie, but I would say, cautiously optimistic, because I like the concept is really cool in my opinion. And I think Christopher Nash is the director.
Yes.
I think he was quoted as saying, like, I want to do like Gus Van Sant's slasher movie, like in terms of the filmmaking style.
Okay.
And it makes sense, like, because Gus Van Sant did a lot of wandering movies, where like Elephant and Jerry, I think, was one of his. Where it's just kind of people wandering. I can turn on red here, right?
I see no sign.
We're doing a little
this podcast episode might get even longer if we get pulled over.
Yeah,
we'll just keep talking.
We can ask them if they've seen In a Violent Nature. And I see all that in this, but I also see the fact that, like, he being Christopher Nash has a definite love for the slasher genre, specifically like woodsy, campy campground slashers.
Yeah.
And that's kind of shown, I think, through like I mentioned earlier, like the ridiculous, like, hilarity of the survivors or would-be survivors in this movie, and also by the insanity of the kills in the movie. Because you could have gone full art house with this, I think, and full, like, classy with this.
Right.
And made it feel a little more grounded and made it feel a little more, I guess I'll say, dangerous. But I'm glad they didn't.
Me too.
Because it would have sucked the fun out of it for me, I think.
What was hilarious and what struck me towards the end, when I actually thought the movie lost me a little bit in the last, like, 10-15 minutes.
Yeah, it did. It lost me too.
Yeah, but it didn't lose me enough that I disliked the movie. I still like the movie quite a bit. And
I actually think the final shots are pretty solid stuff.
Yeah, I liked it. Very like I said, we're gonna spoil a little bit.
There's some Halloween 78 vibes.
Halloween 78. I was thinking No Country for Old Men.
There's also some,
Yes.
this is a gorgeously shot film.
I think so too. Especially for its especially for its budget, I would say.
Yeah, beautiful movie.
Yeah. So, yeah, it looks really good. I think we're still recording.
Can we talk? Are we recording currently?
It looks like it. Yeah.
Are we? Like we say, guys, this is different. Can we talk about Johnny though?
All right. So yeah, I think Johnny is he's
our protagonist.
So like he is. I leaned over to you during the one kill with the logging machine, and I'm like, this guy's an asshole. Like he's mean, and he's like not getting. So like I compared to the Terrifier in the theater, but like Michael Myers too, there's a curiosity with his kills. Like there's a playfulness to a lot of Michael Myers kills.
Yes.
With like the head cock and the Terrifier, like he does these extreme gory kills and like he's having fun with it.
He's like dancing around.
But Johnny here is not really having fun.
He's
at
all
all.
business.
Yes. He's a madman. He's a maniac.
He is.
And not Madman Mars.
Yeah, not that, but still. No, but here's the thing though with Johnny is like, I love that like you can kind of feel his like there's actually like a really tender moment with Johnny in this movie.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk too much about it, but I was like shocked at like how moved I was by that moment. It like despite all the disgusting crap he was doing and was happening around him.
Yeah.
It was kind of a beautiful little moment, and then we get like after that we get full on like he gets full machine after that. Like it's funny. There's like a moment where you're like, oh, you see some of the humanity in this grotesque slasher monster guy, and then like he kind of comes to and it gets back to business. But I like that you get some of his characterization too, just through like
You do get a sense of his character, like, and by the end of the movie, you kind of understand how he operates and what.
Yes, and it's actually really. I think the performance is really strong because, like most of the movie, you are literally following behind him as he walks. That's not an exaggeration. I will say I do think there's a little bit of negativity being thrown in this movie for being like boring or being a walking simulator.
Yeah,
they do not keep you walking that long. Like
no,
between
I was actually happy that I thought that they recognized how dangerous that could be.
Yes,
and I felt like I don't know. It hit me towards it. Yeah, like this is better paced than like 60% of slashers I've ever seen.
It is. So I don't know why I'm hearing bitching about that. Plus, you get to like gorgeous woodsy scenery. Like,
there's a shot of him after the yoga kill that is
the yoga kill
crazy. But there's a shot of him like staring out into nature at the mountains that's like gorgeous. It's beautiful.
It's like a Werner Herzog thing. Like,
and it worked because you sit in that moment and you're like, yeah, you know what? No one would hear a thing. I actually thought the most disturbing kill in the movie, and that actually like affected me, was the drowning kill.
Oh, it's really good.
It's really good, and there's no gore to it.
It's really good.
But like it hits you that like because there's no score. Most of the time when you see a drowning, the score is dramatic, like at 11.
And you're going underwater with the character.
Yes.
And you're seeing
But this one like it shoots it from the outside, and
you're seeing like an insect's view of a woman drowning. Like,
yes.
like yeah.
And you're sitting there going like, oh, you know what? No one would hear this.
No.
Yeah, they're fucked.
It's insane. But yeah, so gosh, man, I don't even know where you go from this. I like the Legend of Johnny too, just like I think it's fun. I think it's simple enough, and it works. It feels very.
The campfire story worked for me too. I thought it was clever and funny. Yeah.
I agree.
The Black Bear story did not.
Yeah. So without saying too much, the last chunk of the movie, there's a monologue.
Yeah.
And it was tough for me.
It's a good idea. I like what it's going for in some ways, but I did kind of I started to zone out after about like 3 minutes of the story.
Yes. I mean, what's fun about this is so often we follow obviously these films from the perspective of the final girl, right?
Yeah.
And so following the entire film from the perspective essentially of the killer was I think very unique and worked very well. there is a perspective shift in this movie. I don't think it's completely spoilerific to say there is a final surviving character in the movie in terms of like the final one being chased around.
Yeah.
And there's a bit of a perspective shift that you follow them a little bit towards the end of the film. I think it worked to begin with. I think it shifts a little too far for me, and it lingers too long for me.
Yeah.
I do like the idea behind it.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. But I just didn't quite stick the landing with that section didn't quite land for me. It needed some editing.
I don't want to criticize too much because this is a low budget movie, and for what it is, I think it's very impressive what they were able to pull off. Some of the performances, though, are very low budget horror. And I think I actually don't think it hurts early on. I do think it starts to hamper the film as we get into the climax of it, and particularly the section we're talking about right now. I never connected, I guess, and maybe some of that is just the perspective of the first hour or so of the movie.
Do you think though some of the these are, I think, as far as I know, pretty unknown actors and actresses in the film. I didn't recognize anybody. Do you think that some of the hamminess of the performances was by design? Like the dialogue had to be.
Yes.
I mean, like literally, it felt that you could pull any interaction between the victims and in this movie, any interaction like you could pull from like basically any Friday the 13th movie.
Yeah,
like they feel like ridiculous when you go back and watch a Friday the 13th movie and really pay attention to how insane the conversations these people are having.
And honestly, and early on it worked for me because it did. A lot of this movie does feel like playing a video game, particularly the Friday the 13th video game.
Sure.
And it is like the scene on the dock, the yoga scene between the two women, where they're just like, you can come stretch me out later. Like that feels ripped right from a video game.
Absolutely.
It's great.
It's dorky, like
so
preteen dialogue.
Yeah, it's dialogue written by a teenage boy, which is exactly how these movies should feel.
Absolutely.
Yes. So that didn't bother me there. I think it's just when it started to get into maybe the meatier stuff at the end of the movie, that's where the performances didn't hit for me.
Sure.
Particularly in the final girl.
I don't
want to be too hard because it's fine.
No.
But it's also like there are moments where the characters do just kind of stand there. I'm like, why are you standing there?
Yeah, for sure. So. No, it's a movie that I really enjoyed, and I'm happy I went and saw it in the theater too.
Me too.
I wish we had a livelier crowd that was a little less freaked out by it. I was cackling at that one kill.
Which one, the yoga kill?
Yes.
or the log kill?
The yoga kill.
Yeah.
And you were cackling, and then like I felt you start to dial it back a little bit because you were reading the room better. But I was like, I'm just gonna let it rip.
There was a kill towards the end. Oh, it was the constant hammering kill where the woman behind me just kept gasping.
oh yeah, the multiple axes.
Yes. Like there were multiple gasps behind me.
I'm like, you've been watching the movie we are, right? I saw body parts do things they're not supposed to do.
So yeah, I liked it.
Me too.
I'm actually surprised by how much I liked it.
Go ahead.
I thought this was going to be. I thought I was going to be bored by some of it. I was never bored during this movie.
maybe some of the.
Yeah.
But I had to pee. I know you had to pee too.
Yeah.
You got quite the pop.
Yeah, I did.
Quite the soda for our folks that use that term. I do have two questions for you though.
Yeah.
First question would be, would you rewatch this?
Yes, and I didn't think I would.
Because I went into it thinking this is not going to be a movie I'm probably going to go back to just purely because of the type of film it is, and that's probably just too premature on my part. But yes, I agree. I would.
Yeah, I would.
I would, like when it hits Shudder, you'd watch it again.
Yeah, I will. Yeah,
okay.
I will. What was your second question?
I've heard a lot of chatter online just about like if this had if this had been the newest Friday the 13th movie, like if this had been the new Friday the 13th and this was not Johnny, it was Jason, like would you have accepted it as a Friday the 13th movie? Like,
so okay, I want to give a shout out again. I do this obsessive viewer, Matt. He pointed out on the Letterboxd his Letterboxd review of this that Stephen King made a tweet about how I think he wanted to write a short story or a book from Jason's perspective.
This is basically it, right?
And this is basically it. So my guess is Kirsten Ash was probably inspired by this. Maybe he got the idea before. I don't want to say this.
Yeah.
Either way, it doesn't matter to me because he got the movie made, and it does feel like a Friday the 13th movie.
It does.
Would I have accepted this as a Friday the 13th movie? No. You know what I would have... Well, I would have accepted it, but I would have preferred maybe a more traditional...
Okay.
I think what I would have loved, and this hit me actually during the show, is like, if there were an episode of Crystal Lake that was exactly like this, and he was hunting down... It was just kind of a standalone thing where he hunted down a group of people.
A handful of people.
Yes, and they did the exact same thing just in 60 minutes.
So you'd be down with it, like a bite-sized version of it, if it was a Jason deal.
Or even just like, I think on a series it might play better just because there's a little more freedom. And I do think with a movie I want something more traditional when it comes to... Like,
I get that.
What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I would have accepted it. I'm happy it's its own thing, though.
Me too.
Yeah, I think it's better as its own thing instead of trying to,
So I watched The First Omen last night. And
yes,
I really, really liked it.
Yeah, I was surprised. I'll be honest. I was like, "Whoa, really?" Okay.
Yeah, it does some really crazy stuff in it.
Okay.
But by the end of it, I went, "Why is this an Omen movie?" And I know it's why it's Omen movies because we're in IP mania right now.
Yeah.
And we have to have franchise for everything. But like, I actually think it hinders the movie. And to go along with what you're saying,
having to be tied to.
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I'm glad it's his own thing.
Yeah.
And for that reason, because I watched First Omen last night, I'm like, man, I kind of just wish there was his own things because the stuff that ties into the Omen movies kind of distracts me and
almost kind of takes you out of it a little bit.
And it ends with tying into the Omen movies, and it leaves on kind of a whimper for me.
Okay.
Yeah. So
because it feels like it's forced to have to.
Yes.
Okay. The other thing I'm surprised by I want to mention is that I would watch it. I think a sequel could be made to this.
Okay.
And I think B, I would watch it.
How would you approach a sequel? You do the exact same thing, or would you make it more traditional?
No, I think you could do it again.
Yeah, I think so too.
I really do. Like, if you put it in a different setting or something.
Same character, same killers.
Yeah, keep Johnny. I like Johnny.
Yeah,
I like Johnny. Johnny's good. Like, if Johnny would be a nice. Like, if we never get any more out of this, which is totally fine. Like I said, I don't need a sequel. But if it makes... I mean, our showing looked pretty impressive considering it's a smaller budget horror film.
This movie made $2 million this weekend,
That's
which
pretty
is
good.
Very good, for what it is.
And the box office has not been great in general lately.
Right.
So, I mean, if it happened, I would watch it. But I would want Johnny back. Because, the guy, he would be a great, even as just a one-off slasher, like alongside like a Leslie Vernon or something like that. I think he's a very memorable, lovable fellow.
And I think, I also think if you do something different with the sequel, you run the risk of being Blair Witch 2: Book of Shadows, where you go away from what works and what I think people are drawn to about this movie.
I wonder if maybe you could do some reversal of things and do the perspective thing. I don't know. There's ways to make it work, I think.
I think so too. I think there are also things that could be improved on in a sequel in this movie.
Agreed.
But I'm excited to see what he does next too. I think
Me too.
I thought this was a very impressive. I think his debut feature. I thought this was almost like the confidence in being able to switch back and forth between perspectives and knowing when to say like, okay, we've had enough walking, like you said. Like, let's do something else here.
Yeah. The only misstep from a pacing perspective, I thought, was that very end bit.
Yep.
And like I said, it wasn't enough. I think we both agree it wasn't enough to ruin the experience for me. If there had been a lot of that throughout, it would have been a problem for sure.
Cool.
But yeah, no, I dug it. I'm happy I went and saw it. And if nothing else, it's got like one of the most memorable kills I can think of ever. Like, it's nuts. It's nuts. And it got hyped. Like, I remember, like, you would even, like, and you don't read a lot of reviews.
Yeah.
I read reviews on certain things just to pique my interest, but I kept hearing, like, there's a kill in this, there's a kill in this, there's a kill in this, yoga kill, and I'm like, okay, all right, how crazy can it be? They even released YouTube videos from, horror content people, reacting to watching that scene. They sent them that scene in its entirety and just... Yeah. And there's some funny reactions to it. I'm not a big reaction video guy, but those were kind of fun. But yeah. Yeah, good stuff.
I'm glad we went. This is our first movie in the theater together since Smile.
Oh my God. Smile 2 is happening, so we'll have to go see Smile again.
Grab my brother. We'll get the Smile trio.
Smile crew.
The Smile crew.
The Smileys.
You want to do The Burning next, or you want to talk more about this?
Yeah, I mean, if we have any more thoughts on this, we can talk about it. But
let's do The Burning.
We'll do The Burning. Yep, for sure.
Yeah.
We'll do The Burning. But yeah, if there's anything else that we missed on this, or if anybody else hasn't had a chance to see it and wants to,
Write in, talk about it.
Yeah, I would love to hear opinions. If somebody can break down what the bear scene's all about, that'd be cool. Thank you for that.
All right, thanks everybody. We'll see you next time.